long time ago. And we don't call them fairy hills anymore. We now call them Neolithic passage graves, because that's what they were. Neolithic, new stone. These were all built in Stone Age. That there, 3,200 BC, so over 5,000 years ago. So when you look at that, just keep in mind, it was there 500 years before the pyramids, 1,000 years before Stonehenge. They really are prehistoric. That would be the largest man-made object on the planet at one stage. Now, they're called passage graves because underneath each mound, big ones and little ones, there's always a stone passage. It leads into a chamber, and in that chamber you will always find human remains, and that's why they got the name. When you look at something like that, that isn't just a place to bury the dead. Many people refer to these as the temples of the coin. Now, passage graves like this are found in many different places. There was some kind of a religious explosion about 6,000 years ago. And you find passage graves like these right down the Atlantic coast of Europe. Scandinavia, France, Spain and Portugal, they all have them. You'll get them in Scotland, the Orkney Islands, in Wales, and right across this country. The oldest ones are the ones on the west, and then they moved to the east. And this is a very special place where we are today. This is Brunabon. And that name comes from ancient stories, but today when we say Brunabonia, we're talking about a bend in the River Bourne, like that, and inside this bend between Slane and Oldbridge there are 40 passageways, 3 of them huge. That's not the normal size. Knowth is the largest of them, built on top of a hill so it dominates the landscape. About a kilometre away is Newgrange, also on a hill, and then the start. So 3 massive big ones and 37 of these. These are called satellite cities. There's 17 of them orbiting around the large mounds. They predate the big one. They were built first, and then they built the big one in the middle. Now I say they, and this is the question. Who built them? You know, who was here 5,000 years ago that had the ability to create something like this? And do we have a name for the people? We do. They're called the Neolithic passage grave builders. That's too big there. We know that they were farmers. The first people who came to this country at the end of the Ice Age were, like everybody else in the world, hunter-gatherers. And that went on for a long, long time. But when agriculture arrived, it changed everything. People are no longer nomadic. They are now living in settled farming communities, and these are the people who created this. We also know that even though it was the Stone Age, these are not primitive savages. They are highly intelligent. They were amazing engineers. You're going to see that as you walk around. Big builders, very artistic. They were also astronomers. They studied the sky. And they were seemingly very interested in the rhythms of nature. And they incorporated all of that into these structures. We don't know how long it took to build. I wish we did. Clever people, but they're using very simple technology. They had wood and stone and bone. They had no metal. They didn't have any horses to pull the stone. Life expectancy was about 35 years. Look at the stone they used. It's not even a local stone. They had to go and get that stone. It's a stone called grey raki, and I think most people would agree that that stone must have come from her head. It's about 20 kilometres away. So we think they used the sea and the river to transport them. They used thousands of them. It's a massive, massive job. So it may have taken generations. So they did it. They used it, and it was obviously an important part of their lives, there's no doubt about that. But then at the end of the Stone Age something happened, and nobody built passage graves anymore. The people who had built these, they went away and they never came back here. Now there were people here for a while, but at the beginning of the Bronze Age something happened again, and for 2,000 years nobody lived here. Now that's strange because it's a very fertile valley. We think it must have been that people were nervous or afraid or too respectful because of those stories that were told. It was said this Brunabonia was the home of the Tuatha, the people of the goddess Anna. Half gods, half mortal. Now there are many stories about the Tuatha, with many adventures, but there was a great battle, and according to legend, we arrived, defeated the Tuatha, who didn't go away. They weren't too happy, but they went underground, and there they guarded the gateways to the spirit world. So if you thought any gods were living underground here, you wouldn't be too inclined to come here far. So we think that's why people stayed away. Now they did come back, of course, in time, in the Iron Age. chieftain decided to turn this land into a defended site. He was living on top of the land, and he dug 2 ditches, one around the top, and a very deep ditch was dug right around the base of the mound. Later on, we'll see a small section of that. And everything that was dug out of it was thrown over the curbstones. So it did 2 things. It protected the chieftain, and it also protected the curbstones, because they were hidden away, and that's why we still have them. Now, the satellite tombs weren't so lucky. A lot of the stones taken away. These are all reconstructed. The mounds slipped down, and don't forget, all the time the ground level is rising up and up and up. And when you get to the early Christian era, you wouldn't have known the satellite tombs were there. And again, with the Knowth tomb, this is the 8th century. St. Patrick has been and gone. We're all Christian, we can read and write. Across Europe, we're now known as the land of saints and scholars. And the land is divided into 150 spheres. They are very small. This is the kingdom of Northern Breagot, and this is where the kings ruled, and this is the beautiful center. They found during the excavations the remains